Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Chandler, the Geek Slays, and welcome back to the Scuffed As Podcast, episode 145. We're back with the man, the myth, the legend, Jake Talk Sports. How you doing, man?
I am doing pretty darn good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Weirdly tired. I've been this way for like 3 weeks now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I feel I'm getting over getting sick, so I can't say I'm 100% either,
Right.
but here we are.
Don't got to be 100%. You just gotta keep pushing, right? Right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I don't have a great plan of what's going on. The first thing I want to bring up, though,
Sure.
is me and Ero made the dual draft hat videos. We made a couple while I was in Illinois visiting him. The most recent one that I posted a couple days ago, can't remember exactly which day at this point, but the Steelers popped up for me. I needed wide receivers, and I picked Deontay Johnson. Why is the internet trying to tell me George Pickens was the answer? Dude's had like one good game in his career. Let's calm the fuck down.
It is mostly the thing with Deontay is mostly recency bias. He is. I mean, there were points last year where he was pretty much a consensus top 10 receiver. And I don't think that much has changed. I think that he hasn't necessarily gotten worse. The guys below him just got way better. And so they kind of moved above him. And I think Pickens is just like this fun, exciting, energetic rookie that everyone's like, well, since you like is some kind of, since he's got that dog in him, he has to be better than Deontay Johnson. But in reality, you watch the film and Deontay Johnson is more refined as a route runner. He probably has better hands, although Pickens' hands are crazy.
I would definitely give hands to Pickens.
Yeah, probably.
But
he's more refined as a receiver in general. I mean, Pickens is still kind of a one-trick pony where it's just like throw it up to him, he'll come down with it most of the time. Deontay just, I mean, I don't really give him too much flack for the fact that he isn't like having some breakout season this year because his quarterback situation has been absolutely insanely bad. And just because Kenny Pickett, who is also a rookie, tends to favor George Pickens because they probably have a better relationship than him and Deontay, it doesn't move me. I think Pickens is going to be good, but I don't really see a world where he's the wide receiver one there this year. But it could and most likely will happen
in the future,
eventually.
Absolutely. I just think, I don't know, the way we overreact to rookies is wild. Remember last year, Jamar Chase being in the top 5 wide receiver after his rookie year. Oh, he's top 5 receiver. No, he's not. Jamar's great, but we need to calm. I didn't put JJ in my top 10 after his rookie year. Like, we need to calm down. Everybody does.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really just because we've had so many phenomenal rookie receivers recently that like any of them does one good thing and they're the next superstar wide receiver, right? And this year's class, I think, actually has some pretty high potential because even like Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs have been okay, and they were like late round guys. But then you have the guys like, obviously George Pickens and Jameson Williams hasn't even played. We don't know anything about what he's going to look like in the NFL.
Right.
And then there's like Jahan Dotson, who's been pretty solid despite being pretty heavily slept on pre-draft. I know I'm forgetting a big name that you can correct me
Garrett
on.
Wilson,
but Drake
Chris
London,
Olave.
he's been good. Garrett Wilson. I mean, all of those guys have been solid. There hasn't been like a superstar. There hasn't been a Jamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson. And it's just because Ohio State is a wide receiver factory, and that won't change for a while. So as long as Ohio State still has those receivers, we'll be getting some good rookie seasons. But yeah,
I think the reason we haven't seen the superstars yet is because my 2 favorite wide receivers from this class still haven't got to play. Jameson and John Mechie. I would have taken Mechie over basically everyone except Jameson and Garrett Wilson. Mechie was my wide receiver 3.
I really hope we see Mechie at some point, and I'm sure we will.
I hope so as well.
But Jameson, I'm so intrigued. I don't know if he's even going to play this year. I don't know what the situation is down there.
I have no idea.
But I thought that I thought it was like a mid-season thing because he was on the physically unable to play, which is like at least 4 or 5 games, I believe. the beginning of the season. I don't know what's going on with him, or what the timetable is, but that receiving core is good enough. So,
Jamison Williams has returned to practice, now wearing number 9 instead of number 18. So
interesting.
Yeah, he's taken Stafford's number, so that's dope. Yeah, so he's coming back. Apparently, he might be on the field by the end of the season, since he's now on the practice field. Who knows when we'll get him? But he has finally returned to practice, and that article was written today. So, yeah, within the last 12 hours, there's been some reports that he's finally in practice. So that's good. We might see some Jamison before the end of the season, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
He was my favorite receiver in this class. That speed's just nuts.
It's insane. Yeah, I think he has like 98 speed in Madden as a rookie. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I wanted to ask real quick, do you plan to talk about Zach Wilson on your episode?
We can talk about him on both of our episodes if you'd like, but I do have the New York team's quarterback situations on my agenda for mine.
I think I don't want to go over the same stuff every time. So we'll pivot away from that. That's fine. So I don't know if we haven't talked about the Packers-Titans game. What were your thoughts on Thursday night?
So the game went pretty much exactly how I expected it to go coming into it. It's just Derrick Henry is so hard to stop on second and third and shorts. That's just how it goes. Every single time the Titans, especially against the Packers run defense, every single time the Titans are at 2nd and 5, they are going to get a first down. Whether it's on that play or the third down play, if they give it to Derrick Henry twice, it's automatically a first down. And the thing is, they killed us in the passing game too. And that was the problem, was that we would have them to third down, and I'd be like, okay, let's just they're not going to run it, so let's just stop them. It's Ryan Tannehill. And then all of a sudden, Robert Woods is like wide open over the middle of the field with no defenders within 15 yards of him. And I'm just like, guys, we know they're throwing the football. Like, what are we doing? And entire game, the defensive schemes were awful. Joe Barry, I don't know how he has a job, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, he has done nothing positive for this defense, okay?
No,
it's kind of like a situation where, like, yeah, it's a situation where, like, you bring a guy in to do a specific job, and that one thing that you're supposed to do. I mean, you're handing this dude the keys to one of the most talented defenses on paper in the NFL, and he just blew it. And as far as the offense goes, I was not like entirely disappointed. It certainly had its moments where I was just like, that's about right. But like Christian Watson, man, I'm starting to come around to him. That was a really nice catch on that for a touchdown when Rodgers had the free play. I mean, he went up and got it. I don't know. I expected us to be able to run the ball better, but Jeffrey Simmons made sure that didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed. Like, I really thought that was a game we could win. I know that most people were picking the Titans because of Derrick Henry and our run defense, and because of the Titans defense, and Mike Vrabel probably is a better coach than LaFleur. So, I mean, all those things add up to.
Without a doubt.
All those things add up to. Even if we were the more talented team, which in some aspects I think we are, It's Mike Vrabel just knows how to coach a football team that doesn't have to be an all-star roster, and that's why he's probably going to be my pick for Coach of the Year if they keep winning.
I don't think didn't Vrabel win Coach of the Year last year? I don't think he's getting it 2 years
That's
in a
true.
row.
They don't repeat. It'll be Dable this year unless the Giants fall off a cliff.
And I think they're going to. I really do.
They have a tough stretch coming up.
Tough stretch, and the Commanders have heated up at the right time, man. Like it's gonna.
They're part of the tough stretch. Yeah, they have to play them twice. They've been
twice
in
a row. They get their bye week, and then they get Washington again. That's
wild.
So in the next 4 weeks, the Giants might be completely out of the playoff picture. It is entirely possible.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I don't
I
either.
really don't. They are not a playoff football team.
I think Washington steals
I don't think
that
I really
7
ever
seed.
said they were going to make it.
No, I don't think anybody
Yeah,
did.
and Heineke, something about the man.
Dude.
And I know you've talked about this on your podcast. I've listened to you guys talk about this. It just, there's a reason why he's starting over Carson Wentz, and it isn't because of necessarily talent.
It's definitely
because
not
the
talent.
team just decides we're going to play better with Taylor Heineke at quarterback, no matter what the situation is. And it happens. It's the evidence is there.
Yeah.
Like it is crucial. I don't get it.
When 4 is on the field, the Commanders are a way better team. Carson is the better quarterback. I don't think anyone in the world would argue that. I don't even think Taylor Heineke would argue that. Genuinely, I don't. But
If you asked him, I guarantee you not. Yeah.
no, if you asked him, who do you think's more skilled, you or Carson? He would just say, "Oh, it's Carson, without a doubt." Oh, without a doubt. But that's also just because Heineke's
Sure.
a humble little fucker. But
Yeah.
But no, I love that guy. I don't know why. I don't know what about him does that. But we saw it in his first ever start in the NFL, which was a playoff game for the Commanders. Dude went toe-to-toe with the GOAT
Yep.
and gave him the toughest run out of anybody
Just
in
about
the
beat him.
playoffs that year. Heineke got his
Yeah.
first start against the GOAT and took the GOAT 15 rounds, and that was nuts.
I mean, it's just like, I don't think they win the Eagles game with Carson Wentz.
I don't either.
I'm not entirely sure against that Eagles defense. I don't know if I feel like that defense would probably force Carson Wentz to do something Carson Wentz-ish. I don't know if Wentz is healthy and just not playing at this
think
point, or if
now,
he's still
yeah.
hurt. Or
I think now he's just a healthy
Man.
scratch because
I mean,
you can't
if they
take
keep
Heineke
winning,
out. You can't.
if they keep winning, then why not ride him? I mean,
Right.
they started the year 1-4.
Right.
They have won. They're
They're 5-1 since then.
5-1. Yeah.
Now I think at least one of those was with Carson, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I think the Titans game was with Carson. I believe they won. No, they lost to the Titans.
Who did they?
Hmm.
God damn it!
Forget
Now I
who
gotta
they
go find
beat
the
before he
Commanders.
got hurt.
I gotta go find the Commanders' schedule.
Is it?
Let's see. They beat the Jaguars, then lost to the Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, and Titans. That was their 1-4 start. Ah, shit. Okay. Then they had a win against the Bears. That one was with Carson. Then they beat the Commanders, Colts, lost to the Vikings, beat the Eagles, beat the Texans, and yeah, they have, out of their last, 6 games, they get the Falcons. That's a winnable ball game. They get the Giants twice. Those are both winnable ball games. They get the Browns. That's winnable. They get the Cowboys. That's their final game of the year. So could be winnable. If Dallas is a wild card team and has no shot at the 1 seed, they might rest their starters, which means Washington
They might even
can
end
go
up
get
being
them.
the 1 seed, depending on how their next game with Philly ends up playing out. So, yeah.
No,
I
their
mean,
next game with Philly doesn't mean anything for Dallas. I mean, it does,
That's
but
right.
it doesn't because their record's already low enough that it truly wouldn't matter.
I think they're. I think that the Browns are going to be a little tough because Deshaun Watson's back. I mean, he might suck.
I really hope he sucks. That's the hope. And then
I still think they can take care of business because that Browns defense sucks.
their toughest game is that December 24th. On Christmas Eve they travel to San Fran. I think
That's
real
too
weird.
close.
Washington's one of the best run defenses in football. If they can stop the run, they're forcing Jimmy G to beat them, and I don't think he can.
Yeah, but I think it goes the other way because that 49ers defense is also
absolutely
really,
could.
really good.
But that's the other thing. The 49ers secondary isn't great. And what I think is the reason that Taylor Heineke does so much better than Wentz is he's not afraid to give Terry and Curtis Samuel and his receivers a shot. He's just going to chuck it. He doesn't give a fuck. He's like, all right, Terry, you're over there. Go make a play. And against a defense like the Niners, where they don't have a great secondary, that might work out really well for them. I think that will be a really good game. There's a reason Washington's so competitive with these top-tier teams. It's that defense.
Yeah.
And it's Heineke's little heart. That little heart's getting him going.
It is, yeah.
I do want to backtrack real quick to the Packers game and bring back up your defense. Yeah, your DC, the reason we can all know for sure that he's so bad, he turned Jair Alexander from a top 3 corner to a bottom 5 corner. Jair looks awful every week. He's getting torched. Now, he'll make a play or two, but why is he constantly torched? Was Jair a fraud, or is it just the DC?
I think, and I said this on Twitter, I think that Jair has definitely regressed, and I think we kind of jumped the gun on top 3 corner narratives for him, but I also don't think that he has fallen out of my top 10.
Right.
I think that Joe Barry is a big part of that because he ends up just having to be the nearest person to the ball, even though he wasn't originally covering them.
Right.
It's kind of like I don't know, some of the coverages we run, we last week, especially against the Titans, we were our corners were on the 10-yard line, the 10-yard marker, on 3rd and 10. And so what would happen is Jair would would always be the guy to come up and make the stop on the throw. And they'd be like, Jair's getting cooked. I mean, he just allowed a 7-yard completion. When in reality, Jair wasn't even there. But right. I do think I can pretty confidently say, as much as it pains me to say it, that we definitely jumped the gun a little bit on Jair. I don't think he really was proven enough. I think
fair.
It's the same situation with Deontay that we talked about, where he hasn't necessarily gotten significantly worse, but the cornerback play this year has been phenomenal. At the very top, Patrick Surtain and even Trayvon Diggs has turned into an actually solid corner. He's kind of beating the merchant narratives. Xavier Howard's still been pretty good this year. J.C. Horn and
Surtain just lost his argument for best corner in the game last week, though. Devontae made him look like a little guy.
I think he lost the CB1 spot, but I don't discredit him too much because it was Devontae Adams.
Right. It's the best route runner in football. He's gonna get you.
I don't even know who I would put at CB1 right now. All the guys who have an argument have gotten torched at some point this year.
That's why I'm gonna give it to Ramsey.
I mean, it's probably still Ramsey.
I'm taking the most proven guy.
All the top 10 guys you would name in whatever order you can point to a game this year where they've gotten flamed.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Except for the rookie, Sauce Gardner.
He hasn't gotten flamed. No,
his
not
worst
at all.
thing is every time the Jets play zone, Sauce is somehow the closest guy to the guy who scores or makes a big play, and they go, that's Sauce's fault. It's nope, that was zone coverage. That's not his zone. What? This is why you don't trust PFF when they say things.
Yeah, Sauce, I have never in my life, in my time watching football, seen a rookie come in and be this good. I mean, he is just out of this world. Rookie corners do not do this. Rookie corners don't do this. Very, very rarely does it happen. And those who do, they are solidifying themselves as a top 10 corner for the next 5 or 10 years. Because if you're good right away at corner, you're going to be good.
Oh, I can tell you another corner who was this good his rookie year, which really isn't fair. Nitrain Lane. His 14 pick season.
If we're comparing him to Night Train Lane, then I think he's in a pretty good spot.
Also, so Night Train Lane, Patrick Peterson, and Dion are the three that were comparable rookie years. Like came in and
all
were one of the best
who,
corners in the league and all Hall of Famers.
All guys who are Hall of Famers and might even be, I don't know if Patrick Peterson is, but might even be top 10 at the corner position.
Right. I don't know if you can put Pat Pete there, but he's a Hall of Famer when he retires for sure.
He's definitely up there, yeah. 100%, yeah.
Yeah. When the only three corners who have played at a comparable level to you are future Hall of Famers, you're having a good rookie year. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to talk about the Jets situation. I think we should talk about the Patriots situation at QB. What do you do?
I agree. Man, I don't know. Free agent market sucks. Sure. Geno Smith gonna get franchise tagged. He's staying in Seattle. Lamar Jackson gonna get franchise tagged or signed to a big extension. Jimmy Garoppolo, Lord knows what happens with him because obviously the Niners like him. Brady, you have to offer Brady a bag to go to the Jets, and he'll probably just end up retiring if the Bucs get blown out of the playoffs this year.
I don't think Brady retires.
I don't think he'll be a Buck next year.
Oh, God, no.
That's my hot take, is that either way, especially if they miss the playoffs somehow, which they won't because their division is a joke. But if they get bounced out of the playoffs early, I think Brady probably leaves. I mean, the Jets fit his criteria. They're a well-built team, poised to win. All they need is a quarterback. He wants to go back to the AFC East and try and dominate it again. I mean, it would be funny for narratives.
And revenge against the Patriots. Constant revenge.
Yeah, I mean, he would probably go undefeated against the Patriots in his time with the Jets.
I think Brady to the Jets,
unless Belichick was in his bag,
right? But I think Brady to the Jets is more possible than people want to say. I'm not saying it's the likeliest spot. If Brady hits free agency, he will have basically his pick of anywhere. You know the Patriots are calling him again. You know the Jets are going to go calling. You know the Giants are going to go calling. You know the Commanders are going to go calling. Honestly,
yeah.
The Vikings might go calling. The Lions could go calling, depending on how their offseason goes. If they can get some defensive pieces, you already have one of the best O-lines in football. You've got good weapons. If you can fix that defense, that might be a spot for Brady. I'm trying to think of some other teams who might need a guy. The Steelers could honestly go calling. The Saints could, which would be hilarious. Go to the team he can't beat for some reason.
Yeah.
I
think as far as the Patriots go, I think that there are two quarterbacks in this class who could get the Josh Rosen treatment, and they're both in the AFC East. I don't know where the Patriots are going to end up picking because they're not great. But I think that they are going to be a team who might take a shot on like Anthony Richardson or like whoever falls. If Will Levis falls, which I guarantee you he will because he's been awful recently.
Even C.J. Stroud.
The thing is, C.J. Stroud's an Ohio State quarterback. If he does not play well against Michigan, and they drop out of the playoff, his draft stock is going to plummet.
Absolutely. And
exactly like Justin Fields.
I think Stroud could. The Fields one was weird because he made the playoff, beat Clemson, lost in the national championship.
But it's just like people get skittish about Ohio State quarterbacks because they don't work out.
I was, but I also loved Fields.
Stroud. It's just I don't see it with him.
No,
I think Bryce Young is so much better, and
Stroud
if he is not the number one
Jones.
Overall pick,
Stroud
he's
is
just
Mac
Mac Jones in an Ohio State uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, and I don't know what you do, because you go into next year. Let's say, I think the most likely option is the Patriots say, "This is it, Mac. I mean, this is your third year. This is. I mean, honestly, I probably would, because if he's bad, then you get a good draft pick, and if he's good, you keep him around.
I
You know?
wouldn't, because Bill wants to.
And then it's like,
Bill's
what do you do with
close.
Bailey Zappi?
Nothing.
And like,
He's not.
you don't do anything with him. He's just gonna sit behind whoever they draft or whoever they.
He's your backup, and he's a damn good one.
And it's just like, I mean, I don't know. If I were them, I'd be doing everything possible to avoid going into next year with Mac Jones. But I mean, this team isn't going to win anything with Mac Jones. I mean, we saw it. Like, the second they got to the playoffs, the Bills just manhandled them.
Yeah.
And whatever. I mean, the Patriots are the Patriots. They'll figure it out. But Jones, I don't see a route where you succeed from going into next year with Mac.
The Patriots are in such a position to. Oh, I hate it. Brady and Josh McDaniels are going back to the Patriots, and they're going to go win another fucking ring, and I'm going to cry.
I do think that it is a Brady move to be like, to finish his career with the team he started it with. Quarterbacks, any position, they do that all the time.
Right. And
I mean, it's
think
not
about the
unthinkable.
narrative. Brady left, proved he could win without Belichick, and then went back to Belichick and gave him another ring, just as one final fuck you as he walked out the door.
Nobody in that building's saying no.
Right. Belichick might try, but Kraft will just go, I signed him anyways, fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, sign him to a 1-year deal. The defense is unreal.
I don't know how. I mean, Belichick.
It's because it's Belichick. Yeah. I mean, we literally talked about, like, when we did our, like, during the offseason, whenever we were on each other's shows, every single time the Patriots came up, it was like, yeah, I mean, I know it's the Patriots, but that defense is just not good at all. And now their defense, like, Matthew Judon has 13 sacks.
Yep.
Like, I mean, and they just, like, if they had a functioning offense, they would have beaten the Packers, right? And they probably would have beaten, I don't know who else they've lost to in close games.
I can't remember off the top of my head either.
It probably would have beaten. I mean, there's a world where they're like 7 and something right now. If they just had a functioning offense to back up the fact that their defense is playing well, like, and who would have thought? Who would have predicted that Jack Jones was going to be good? Like a late-round corner at ASU.
I gotta say it because the internet. Theo Ash, he's the one who thought that, because he's an Arizona State guy and he's a homer, and he's gonna pretend he knew from the beginning, even though he didn't. The first time he ever mentioned Jack Jones's name was 8 weeks into this year, but Theo's gonna continue to pretend like he was the only guy on it.
Actually, I will say that Theo on their podcast mentioned it before the draft even happened.
Did he?
Yeah, because he's talking about how he was draft eligible and how the best ASU player he ever saw play live was Jack Jones.
Okay.
Because he was talking about, like, his favorite ASU players ever.
Still,
but yeah, I mean,
he talks the same way about
was
everyone from
Jack
ASU.
Jones.
He talks the same way about Felipe Franks as well, and, like, come on now. So
right.
But
Frank Darby.
No. Frank Darby, yes. Great player.
Frank Darby season, yes.
So for the Jets, we're not talking about the Jets. Never mind. I'm dumb. So pivoting to where I wanted to pivot to, you mentioned Matthew Judon and his small resurgence he's having, because he had a kind of down year, at least sacks-wise, last year. He bounced back. Let's talk about another really good bounce-back edge rusher, and what may have been the best free agent signing of last year somehow, Zadarius Smith. I don't want to get into the entire Vikings game. Oh, it's cute. Sorry, he's better than everyone on the Packers defense. I'm sorry.
Preston Smith better.
Preston Smith, has he even played a game this year?
We kept the right Smith, bro.
Okay. I know you're just a homer.
Preston Smith is
but
playing the game this year.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
The only
Smith. I
guy
don't
on the
even miss him.
Packers defense who's played kind of good this year is Rashawn Gary. And
I
yeah.
miss Rashawn Gary.
You miss Rashawn Gary? Why do you miss him?
I do miss Rashawn Gary. He
did
tore
he
his
get hurt?
ACL.
Oh, did he? I did not know that for some reason.
Against the Lions, yeah, he tore his ACL.
Gotcha.
Which is why our pass rush has been awful, and our run defense has been even worse.
Zadarius Smith.
Christian Kirksey.
I know you're just being biased, but it's fine.
Whatever.
I know you're just being biased. What, you hate him because he chose the best team in the NFC North, not the stupid green team?
Hey, don't talk about the green team like that.
Oh, I absolutely will.
They are better than the Bears.
Are they?
Standings wise, yes, and I'll die on that hill. I don't care if they aren't talent wise. I'm gonna milk the we're higher than you in the standings thing for as long as I can until it eventually is no longer correct.
I was gonna say, what happens if you can't? Okay, there is a feasible chance that the Packers are bottom of the NFC North at the end of the year. Like, it's possible.
I don't care, dude. Top 10 pick. Who cares? I don't care.
No, that's fair.
At this point,
what do you do with that
I don't
pick, though, if you're the Packers?
I'd probably take the best defensive tackle available for run-stopping purposes.
Didn't you just pick a defensive tackle last year? Technically?
Yeah, but it sucks. We need a good one. I would also say if Jackson Smith and Jigba's there, you were pulling the trigger on that.
No, you're not.
Offensive line. Offensive line.
He's not doing that.
Yeah. Offensive line would be great if there's a top 3 offensive linemen from the class still there. I'd take him. Honestly, then, any offensive line position I would take, as long as it's not quarterback, running back, tight end, that's about it. Or corner, or safety. I guess you don't take a safety unless it's like Kyle Hamilton.
Those are your first 5 picks. I'm sorry. We know Gutekunst too
Listen,
well.
man.
Yes, I if
I'm sitting there on draft day and we have like the 9th overall pick, let's say, and I hear the name Anthony Richardson from the University of Florida, I can confidently say there will be so many. I mean, I don't even know what I would do if they. I don't know. What they need to do is trade Jordan Love to whoever has the number 1 overall pick, right? And then they can just take whoever they want. The Texans will go into next year with Jordan Love.
No, they won't. Nobody will. Except maybe the Packers. Because you know what the smart move for the Packers probably is? Blow it up.
Trading Rodgers.
Trade Rodgers. Trade Bakhtiari. Who else?
I
am
completely into
Adrian Amos. You ship him out. Kenny Clark.
Amos.
You ship. Isn't Kenny Clark only like 26?
I feel like, you're probably
check.
right. Kenny Clark's one of those guys who I feel like's been in the league for longer than he actually has been. Rasul Douglas, gotta get rid of him.
No, he's 27.
Devondre Campbell. Rasul Douglas is 27?
No. Kenny Clark.
Oh, I was gonna say Rasul Douglas is so much older than that. Devondre Campbell's up there, and those are good players, but it's just like the Packers are gonna have to rebuild at some point. Like, he can't just always be good. Like, even the Patriots are going into rebuilding mode.
And if you're the Packers, right now is probably
and the Steelers were a dynasty once.
Yep.
Like, it has to happen.
Right now is the best time to
it.
blow it up. Because Rodgers still has value. So do something with it.
Yeah. The Colts, if the Colts call, you answer. Because the Colts have assets.
What if the Vikings call?
And you have assets, so fine. Right. I mean, I don't care.
I was
if
curious.
It's a Favre situation.
I wanted to know if you were on Miller Football's side of in-division trades are stupid and bullshit. No, they're not.
In-division trades are funny.
Right.
And I like them.
And I think Rodgers getting shipped to Minnesota, that would be so hilarious. The internet would explode.
Oh, it would be. Oh, it would. Twitter would be on something different that day. In Rodgers, like, I mean, after this year, if he like plays well the rest of this year, his value is the highest it's going to be for the next few years because he's going to keep progressing. So, if anybody's calling who has the assets to do it, you are answering the phone if you're Brian. I think you are because it just I think all those teams we listed.
Yeah.
We were talking about the need a quarterback. Like I don't think he would go to Washington.
No.
I guess he wouldn't really have a choice, but
well, actually, I think he does. I think he has a
he probably has no trade clause.
So he'd have to waive it. So he gets his
pick.
pick.
He wouldn't go to Washington. I would if I'm him. I'm going to the Jets if they call and they offer enough assets. If I'm him, I'm going. They're a well built team. He could win a ring with the Jets, like legitimately.
See, if I'm him, I have the same mindset that I would have, or that, as much as I hate it, that Brett Favre had at the time. I want to go anywhere where I can play Green Bay. They play them twice. So if I were Rodgers, that's what I would want. Now, would the Vikings even call? I have no idea. Would the Packers even answer the phone? I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, like,
we made
I don't know
a
if the Vikings would do it just because. I don't know, like, if the Vikings are just like, hey, man, let's trade out this old quarterback for another old quarterback. Because then what do you do when Rodgers is finished?
Well, no. So here's what you do. We call up the Packers, and we say, oh, are you there?
I am.
Okay. You froze a little bit. Wanted to make sure you were here before I got into this. But if you're the Vikings, you call up the Packers. Technically, I think Kirk has a year left on his deal, which sucks. But either way, the Vikings and Packers both would want Kirk included. Not for the Packers to compete, but because you got to make the money work somehow. If you're going to do that deal, Kirk has to be involved. So we say, here's Kirk. Here's our first-round pick this year, our first-round pick next year. In the second round, the Vikings go draft Anthony Richardson or Hendon Hooker or one of those guys. Leave him on the bench behind Rodgers for 2 or 3 years. Rodgers go win, because I think we really are a quarterback away. Well, our offensive line on Sunday was bad, but I'm not going to get into that. But I think realistically our roster is a true quarterback away.
Yeah.
As much as I will argue that you can win with Kirk Cousins. I will defend that with my life because I've seen worse quarterbacks win. So I know you can. But with Rodgers, it's not about you can. It's about you should. That's the difference.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've seen NFL rumors on Twitter, right? You know them. They, for the most part, are pretty stupid, but they had like an intriguing thing that, like, they were talking about a rumor that's going around that the Raiders and Packers are just going to swap quarterbacks during the offseason, which I know is not true. There's no way those rumors are happening. I just think it would be such an interesting narrative if Derek Carr and Rodgers just switched places and Adams is just like, all right, well, I'm still here. So Rodgers and Adams reunite and then Derek Carr goes to the Packers. I mean.
So here's why I think that's not real. Derek Carr is the Raiders' starting quarterback next year. I don't care who they could get. The Chiefs could call and offer Patrick Mahomes, and the answer's no. Because Devontae's not going to play if you get rid of the guy that is the reason he's suiting up. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Yeah. You're not throwing away Devontae Adams because you want a slight upgrade from Derek Carr, and I don't know if what will he be next year, 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers, will be better next year than Derek Carr. I can't guarantee you that.
Not better enough that you would give up assets.
No. And not better enough that you give up on having the Raiders.
You have to keep your assets because right now it's not looking great. McDaniels sucks.
Yeah. So move on from McDaniels. Go get a real coach. You know who's out there right now? Frank Reich needs a job. Frank Reich can turn that Raiders team around real quick.
Hopefully.
And then, so you've got Reich. Let's say the Raiders do that. Then what do? Oh, you do have a true number one corner now. Nate Hobbs has been phenomenal. Rock Ya-Sin's a good third corner, so go get another corner. Whether it's in the draft or free agency, I don't care. Go get another corner. Shore up that offensive line and get healthy. And next year the Raiders are a real team. Injuries and that O-line is the problem.
Here's what the Packers do.
Okay.
If the Raiders end up picking ahead of the Packers, they trade Jair for that pick, and they move up. And then we take whoever we take.
That's not a bad idea. Okay, move Jair for the Raiders pick, which is probably top 10, unless the Raiders flip the shit right now, which they did just get a win. Now's your only time to flip it.
It's still tough.
Right, but you did just win a game, so you're on the right track. Just keep it up.
Right.
So, unless the Raiders win out, they're going to get a top 10 pick. So you trade that for Jair. Packers, now you have 2 first-round picks. Then you trade Rodgers to somewhere. Don't care. I genuinely don't. Anyone who will take him, get whatever assets you can. Boom. Fuck it. Trade Jordan Love, too. Find somebody who's willing to take a chance on the guy. Then, don't tell me you want the Packers to walk into next year with Jordan Love.
I mean, no, I was going to say, I think that, the market for Jordan Love is a little bit bigger than people think. Because there were rumors that he was going to get traded before the draft last year to the Patriots, who were going to trade away their first-round pick for Love. And the Packers would move up, and the Patriots would get Love, and they wouldn't have drafted, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the Raiders, right now, their schedule is kind of mixed. I mean, they have the Seahawks next week, and they go Chargers and Rams back-to-back. And they have Patriots, Steelers, 49ers, and then Chiefs for Week 18. So there's enough winnable games there where they might not be picking in the top 10.
I still think they will, but
the scary thing is the Eagles will be picking in the top 10 most likely because of New Orleans.
Unfair.
I don't even know who they would take. What do you do there?
I don't know.
Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Bama.
Is it Anderson? Because there are 2 Wills this year. There's Will
Levis
Anderson.
is the quarterback from Kentucky.
There's another edge rusher, Will Anderson and Will McDonald. And I always get the 2 confused.
Will McDonald is not a top 10 pick.
Okay, so
Anderson's like a generational.
I get the 2 confused in my head. So
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But probably him. That's probably what the Eagles do.
That's terrifying.
Or you trade back with somebody who's desperate. I'm still more terrified that the Saints did offer Alvin Kamara for that pick specifically. I'm more scared that the Eagles are just waiting to see how the legal bullshit with Kamara works out, and then they pull the trigger on that trade. And they get Alvin Kamara.
On draft day, 100%. It could be like an A.J. Brown thing.
Right.
They're probably going to end up doing it.
If Kamara's not going to jail and he's going to play for the next couple of years, the Eagles are without a doubt pulling the trigger.
It would have been stupid to pull the trigger this year.
Yeah.
Because he could get suspended for an entire season.
As much would it have been, though? I still question that. Because, you go win a ring. Who cares if he misses next year?
Weeks. That is true. Yeah, man. I mean, the Eagles, they're probably going to end up with a generational prospect at whatever position they end up taking them at. And they're going to be most likely at least in the NFC Championship. So,
I'm still rooting for Nick Sirianni being an awful coach. Which brings me to my next point. What the hell's going on with the Eagles?
Okay. I think there's a couple things.
Yep.
I think that Jalen Hurts is kind of Kyler Murray-esque, where he's not going to keep up this play style the entire year. I think that the not being able to throw over the middle of the field is really going to catch up to him. And when good defenses take away those deep shots on the sideline or take away that outside stuff, and they force you to throw it over the middle into like a linebacker or into like zone coverage, I mean, you got to be able to do it if you're going to beat teams in the playoffs. Like the Bucks, like even the Bucks would give them trouble because they have great linebackers. Well, Levante David's great. Devin White's overrated, but they just their run defense without Jordan Davis is pretty bad. Like their run defense against Washington, they didn't allow a lot of yards, but they just couldn't tackle Brian Robinson when they really needed to. And I just think overall, like their offensive line, as good as it is, isn't perfect. And Jalen Hurts, like I said, I think that he might see a Kyler Murray like regression towards the end of the season. I just don't think the Eagles have been tested enough. Like even the good teams they played
Didn't show up.
didn't have a good game against them.
Yep.
Like the Vikings in week 2, did not really test them as much as they would if they played tomorrow.
Sorry. Sorry. Dinner just arrived. My first thing with that is if their run defense stays the way it is after Jordan Davis gets back, they're fucked. They won't win a game in the playoffs unless they luck out and get the Bucks, because that's the only team that cannot run on the NFC side.
Which they won't, because they'll probably be unless they're the 1 seed.
Right.
It's like they have to play the Cowboys in the playoffs.
They're done.
Game. They have to play like.
And we saw this at the end of that Monday night game. This was what I was going to bring up. The Eagles didn't score. The Vikings figured it out. Our offense, we still couldn't run the ball because we're down 3 touchdowns. But, can they stop Cook and Madison? No. So the Vikings could get them. The Niners could get them. The Giants with Saquon could get you. Washington already got you. Like
the Niners could get them.
The Seahawks,
especially because of that run defense that the Niners have. I mean, they would just eat those RPOs alive.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are a lot of just teams that are just really darn good at running the football right now. And the Eagles, Jordan Davis coming back needs to be the end of their run defense struggles.
They gotta hope.
If they get the Bucks, they'll probably be fine. They probably won't get the Bucks. They'll probably be the 1 seed, and the Bucks won't make it through the wild card. So
no, because
most likely,
if the Bucks win their division, the Bucks get San Fran.
Most likely,
as of right now. Oh no, actually, as of right now, the Bucks get the Cowboys.
They would get crushed.
The Cowboys would smoke them.
Yeah.
That would be awful.
The Bucks are not built for a playoff run.
No.
By any means. They're a division merchant this year.
Yep.
I'll admit, they won the Super Bowl Brady's first year, but they're essentially a division merchant, especially with the Saints being bad. Back when Breeze was there, it was maybe, but
yeah. Because as of right now, the Vikings would get the Seahawks, which I think is a winnable game. I would take that. I'd much prefer to play the Seahawks than the 49ers or Cowboys in that first round.
Yeah,
give me the Seahawks, give me the Giants, give me somebody.
If they do make it, I don't expect Geno to show up in the playoffs. He very well could, but I don't think the Seahawks are ready to make a run.
Even if he does,
their defense is bad.
I know everybody wants to discredit the Vikings all the time. I'm sorry. They're not losing to the Seahawks in Minnesota in the playoffs. Promise.
No.
Promise.
No. Even if Geno does Geno things. Geno did Geno things against the Bucks, and they pretty easily lost. So, the Vikings, their Vikings receivers would just eat that secondary alive. And even if you're like, well, just put Tariq Woolen on Justin Jefferson, that's
That
not going
wouldn't
to end well
work.
for you.
That wouldn't work.
It's not going to end well for you. And then if you put anybody else on Jefferson, it's just like they're getting flamed.
Tariq
Like,
Woolen, the reason he's so
yeah.
good is because he's a zone corner and they run a lot of zone. If he tried to go man-to-man with Jefferson, he would get embarrassed because most corners do. Now, I know lately, the fun thing, I know we're talking Cowboys-Vikings on your podcast, so I'm going to keep this very, very brief. Diggs, no one in Dallas's secondary locked down anyone on Sunday. Diggs didn't lock down Jefferson. You know who locked down the passing game? Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and that front seven. Because if you don't have time to throw, then nobody can catch the ball. Like, we don't know who would have won those matchups because we didn't get to see them, which I think was Dallas's goal, and it worked. So, GG. So, we'll get into the full
Dan Quinn
rant about that later.
We'll talk about Dan Quinn. Yeah. But, yeah.
I think we're getting close to the end here. I know I had the one other thing for you. As of the day this podcast comes out, yesterday was Thanksgiving. So, what are you thankful for this year, Mr. Talk Sports? Mr. Sports?
I think the first thing is just the opportunities that content creation has given me this year. I don't know if you know who Suryat is. But he is one of the most influential creators to me, and I had him on my podcast, and sitting down and talking to him, a dude that I looked up to like so incredibly much, like being on a podcast with Theo, who's someone that really got me sparked into like wanting to be more analytical about football, and like I had like a senior writer for the Toronto Raptors on one of my podcast episodes, and like they're my favorite basketball team. So hearing like the perspective that he had on like the current Raptors and like the 2019 championship was just phenomenal. And just like I don't know, man, like it's crazy to me that like just like a year ago today, like I like could barely get like anybody on the podcast, and now I have like a rotation of guests pretty consistent, like you and David and Steven and stuff like that, but also just people who like I never thought would ever even respond to a DM I shot them, and they did. So yeah.
Now I made an entire video kind of talking about this, but I didn't mention everybody that I wanted to. Like, the video was more targeted towards like some of the most influential people over the last year for me. So like you and Miller, I didn't really talk about in the video, talking about who I was thankful for this year. Doesn't mean I'm not. It just means there were other people on the list that I wanted to get to first, right? You know, other reasons, other things. I hope nobody takes not being in that video as a slight. That was not the goal. I hope people don't think that's passive aggressively me being like, oh, he hates these guys. It's like, no, that's not it. You know, didn't mention Jedi, who I think has listened and commented on every podcast on like every platform. So that's nuts. So, but either way, just the people this year, man. Got to experience a lot of cool people.
Agree.
And
man, like you and Miller and Steven, and I mean I've even had more interaction with Theo since being on a podcast with him, and I don't know if you know like Hemi Takes, but I met him and talked to him quite a bit, and like I mean the list goes on, dude, and there's like people who are like DMing me on TikTok saying that like I'm one of the favorite creators, and that they like they watch every single video, they're on every single live, and like that is something that I never thought would ever happen to me.
Right.
You know, it's just crazy to me that there are people who like sit down and they like actually they stop on one of my videos and they just listen and they like it, you know, and that's like I never had a community. So I mean that's another thing that I'm thankful for, is just my community, like in general, like the fact that I have a community even, like that's such a blessing to me. Yeah,
it's crazy. I'm very I'm almost just thankful for this year, but I don't know. I've had some rough stretches this year that I'm not so thankful for. So,
Sure. I feel
I'm
that.
thankful for the majority of 2022. Those other parts can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna double check my plans that I sent you because I can't even remember the plans I make because I'm good at my job. Yeah, I think that'll probably be a good spot to wrap it for now. So, you got anything else you want to say to the people?
Drew Lock is a top 32 quarterback in the
God.
NFL.
Drew Lock's not even a top 32 quarterback on the Seahawks.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
You know what? I'm thankful for Drew Lock. That's who I'm thankful for the most.
You know who I'm thankful for?
Lock.
Kevin O'Connell. We have a real football coach in Minnesota now. Not just some loser who likes to scream all the time, getting fights with his own quarterback. But, all right. I think that's a good spot to end it. So, thanks for watching. Go follow Jake everywhere. He's there. And, yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.